All right, class. So this week we are covering Frankenstein. Actually, we're doing that for the next 2 weeks. So in place of my lecture, since there are so many different sources out there that have much better production quality than I have, this for this week's lecture, just be sure to watch these other two videos that I have posted, and then same with the next week. Be sure to watch those videos as well. They cover everything that I would want to say and would share with you for this story. So be sure to check those out. They will help you a lot in your understanding of Frankenstein. So in this lecture, really what I want to cover is the research analysis essay that you guys will need to complete. So the first part of it is going to be the thesis statement. So let's start there. So within the research analysis essay folder, it's just varying weeks, and in the front of it, I have all the due dates of all the different assignments, so be sure to pay attention to that. When you write your thesis, be sure that you read this document first. This is going to help you create the thesis that I am looking for. So in your thesis statement, having a solid thesis statement, it's going to really make the whole writing process much, much easier. So be sure to read through this, and it's going to help you incorporate the elements and create a strong thesis so that way you can base your paper around it. With a weak thesis, it's really hard to write a paper. So this is going to help you get you off to the right start. And if at any point your thesis needs to be revised, just send me an email updating your thesis and I will give you some feedback. So to get full points on the essay, just be sure that you read this PDF as well as write the thesis following the information that you're given here. When you go to write your full paper, there are other documents in here that I want you to read and go over. It's going to help you in the writing process and make things a lot easier for you. So be sure to read through those as well as the thesis statement one. Once you've completed your thesis statement, you can upload it here, just like you would any other document that you probably have already done. The next thing that you're going to have to do is write an annotated bibliography. So the annotated bibliography, it's a very common practice within academia, and especially once you get into grad school, you're going to have to provide what's called a literature review. And in this literature review, it just gives you the information that what it's going to do is going to help the reader understand the current academic literature that is available on the topic that you are studying. So this really helps us understand where you're coming at within the conversation of your topic. So sometimes your topic is kind of unique, but with Frankenstein, I highly doubt anything that you guys come up with will be that unique and has not already been studied. So there's going to be plenty of sources out there on that. With Super Frog Saves Tokyo, yeah, you might struggle to find some uniqueness, or you might be actually more unique than you would want to be, which will make things a little bit more difficult. But there are still plenty of sources out there. Now your sources, they don't have to be like for like exact with your thesis statement. What I mean is they need to be directly related, and what I mean by that is, let's say you're writing your paper on alienation within Frankenstein. If the source that you're citing discusses how humans, when they are in isolation, leads them towards deviant behavior, or as it relates to Frankenstein, that would be something that would work. Any way that it directly relates works for me. It doesn't have to be exact. It just needs to relate. Now, these sources need to interact with the text. The sources that you use, they cannot be outside sources that talk about something that's completely outside of the text. So be sure to use essays, journal articles within the WVU library to support your arguments. And there's plenty out there. You just have to search. So if you haven't used the Wayland Library, it's very easy to use. You just come over here where it says Wayland Library, and it will take you there, and you can start searching. Good place to start is just filtering the databases down to languages and literature. Ones that I always like to use, I really like the JSTOR So that's located. I'm sorry, should be in here. You can search by journal title search. You can type in JSTOR. Oh my goodness. Maybe we don't have access to that journal anymore. But there's also JSTOR through Google, and those sources will count as well. So if you do decide to go through JSTOR, you can go to Google or open up a browser and use this. And this is just as good as the Wayland Library. Apologize, I thought that was still in there. Maybe we no longer have access through our library. There are other sources that you can use. I know there's some that's dedicated just to, you can see the Shelley Godwin archive. So that's going to be Mary Shelley as well as her dad. So you have that access, which is going to be filled with different sources that you can use as it relates to Frankenstein or any other works that maybe that you guys are interested in studying. So definitely use the Wayland Library. It's going to give you all the information that you're going to need to, oh, here's JSTOR. All the information that you're going to need to write your research analysis essay. Okay, so once you've got all your sources, you read through them, you take these 6 sources, you're going to write a brief summary, at least 100 words or right around 100 words of each source. And you're going to explain what the source is about and how it relates to your thesis in those 100 words. So be sure to do that, and then you'll list the source right above your summary. And then there should be 6 of them for full credit. And again, you just click on this title to upload your document for it to be graded. You'll need to use the Writing Center. Once you create your first draft, you have to submit your first draft with proof that you went through the Writing Center and made the revisions that they asked of you. So the Writing Center, as you can see, you just click on this link here, and you can go into WC Online and log in. And then to schedule an appointment, you'll select one of the white boxes, and then you will put in the information that you need. Now, the Writing Center, you've been warned. Be sure that you do not wait until 11:59 Sunday night, January 12th, to submit your first draft to the Writing Center. They're not going to be able to review it in time for you to submit it on time. So be sure that you submit it in advance. You can do that, and you can even reserve the appointment and then upload your paper closer to that date. So make sure you keep that appointment so that way nobody else takes it. You don't have to be present for it. They'll grade it and look it over while you are off doing your own thing, and then they will send you an email letting you know when it's done. It takes them roughly 2 hours after the appointment to get you back your paper. So if your appointment was on December 6th at 3 p.m. on Friday, you wouldn't probably get it until 5 p.m. They're going to spend 45 minutes on your paper. They'll go as far as they can in 45 minutes and then give you feedback. So be sure if they didn't finish your paper or your first draft, you apply the feedback they had given you to the rest of your paper. Other sources that I recommend you use are either Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid. I personally like Pro Writing Aid a little bit more. I use this at least once a week with my job. I have to do a lot of writing. And this editing tool here gives you a lot of good stuff to help you get rid of all your passive voice in your writing. It helps you figure out where you need to put commas or colons. It helps with word repetition. It helps you with the flow, so making sure that your sentences are easily readable. With that being said, so now once you, as we get closer to the final draft, and when you go to review one another, if you go to the syllabus, my criteria for grading the research analysis essay is written in here. So this is how I'm going to grade you. Granted, yes, some of it will be subjective, some of it is not. So following directions and using APA MLA formatting, that's pretty objective. The rest of it, if I can understand it and understand the argument that you're making, and that you're providing good evidence for your arguments, your odds are you're going to do pretty good. A lot of the work that you're doing now in your discussion boards and in your essays is preparing you for this paper. So you're doing this over and over again. So by the time you go to write your research analysis paper, you should be in the groove of kind of what I'm looking for. So again, in these papers, you're going to select your topic, whether as it relates to either Frankenstein or Super Fox Saves Tokyo or both, and then you're going to write about it. Be sure that the sources that you have to use a minimum of 2 directly relate to your topic. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, but just needs to directly relate, and the sources that you use need to discuss the text that you are studying, or the author. I know with Murakami it's going to be hard to find some sources on him, so you can expand your purview to his writing in general and the themes that he tries to capture in his writing. I've done a lot of research on him, so I know there's plenty of stuff out there as it relates to any topic that you'd probably want to write on him. Be sure to follow all the due dates and do not put it off. One thing that I recommend as you write your papers is that you figure out how many days you have to complete the assignment. Let's say it's your first draft. You have 1,000 words, so that's going to be due January 12th. So what you're going to do is see how many days you have until January 12th. So today, if you were to start December 1st of 2019 and it's due on January 12th, you can count 31 plus 12, that's going to be 43, and you have to write 1,000 words. You pull out your handy dandy calculator and you do 1,000 words divided by 43. All right, you have to write 25 words a day to hit that 1,000 words on that time. That's pretty easy. That's 2 sentences. So as you think of different elements to include in your paper, just randomly throughout the day, take a note of it. Email yourself. Write it in a text message and send it to a significant other, and then just make sure you have that documented. Write it in a note on your phone. And then every single word that you think of that you can put towards that paper, just randomly throughout the day, just save it and catalog it. As you're reading, be sure to take good notes and bookmark pages that you want to reference or write in your book. These are all going to help you. So when it comes time at the end to submit the paper, it's so much easier to revise slightly intelligible content than have to create all new content in just one evening. You're going to have a much better cohesive paper if you do it that way. So again, figure out ways you can break it down into very manageable steps. It's going to be it's going to be very easy. Again, 25 words a day is pretty simple. So be sure to start thinking ahead and start planning, so that way you can meet the goals that you want to meet. Again, this final paper is going to be 1,700 to 2,000 words, and that does not include your bibliography. You will be doing a works cited page. That be sure to realize that's not the same as the annotated bibliography. The annotated bibliography is a assignment on itself, and it does not get tacked on to your research analysis essay. For your works cited page, you're just going to find the sources that you list above your summaries and then list them on the page, a works cited or a reference page, depending on whatever style you use. Again, follow the due dates, and if you have any questions, just never hesitate to email me. I hope you guys enjoy Frankenstein as much as I have, and I'm excited to see your guys' responses. Have a great day.